This video is sponsored by Skillshare.
I couldn't stop myself from falling in love with you. The minute you threw a dagger at my head, I knew I was done for. There was no longer a before you, only what I wanted with you. I think I would fall on my sword if it meant you mourned me. And it's terrifying to think you have that much power over me. I may be a monster, but if you cut me, I'll bleed. And if you break my heart, you'll break me. So even if a sliver of your soul longs for mine, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to deserve it.
Hello and Happy New Year! If you're new to the channel, my name is Cassandra and I make beginner-friendly crochet tutorials a lot of the time inspired by our favorite romantasy book series. This Silver Savior dress design was inspired by none other than Peyton Gray from Lauren Roberts' Powerless trilogy. Now before we get into the tutorial, I want to say a huge thank you to my boyfriend Mark for bringing my romantasy dreams to life once again. He filmed, did the voiceover, played the part of the romantasy prince, and edited the intro to this tutorial. He is the most talented video creator I know. I highly recommend you check out Mark's YouTube channel. I linked it down below in the description. His videos are truly incredible. Now, before you start crocheting, there are 3 things you need to know. 1, there is a written pattern that comes with this design, and it is linked down below in the description. It comes with the measurement calculations, stitch diagrams, the yarn usage approximation guide, and overall very in-depth instructions. The second thing you need to know is that custom orders for the Silver Savior dress are open. So if you would like me to crochet one for you using your measurements so that it fits you perfectly in whichever color you like, you can place your order by clicking the link down below in the description. And the third thing you need to know is that if beginner-friendly crochet tutorials are something you're interested in, then I highly recommend you subscribe because that's literally all I post. So you don't want to miss out on any of my future tutorials. Okay, now without further ado, let's learn how to crochet the Silver Savior dress. For supplies, you're going to need a lightweight silky textured yarn. I'm using the Loops and Threads Silky Soft Rayon from Bamboo yarn in the color Smoke. I'm also going to be using this add-on yarn. It's a very thin, metallic thread-like yarn. This is completely optional. I just want my dress to have a little bit of a metallic sheen. Next, you're going to need a 4mm hook, a measuring tape, stitch markers. I'm just using bobby pins, a tapestry needle, a pair of scissors, and paper and a pencil. Take these 6 measurements. There are measurement calculations you need to do for this design, and you can find them in the written pattern linked down below in the description. Before you pour hours of effort and hard work into crocheting the Silver Savior dress, here's a pro tip. Learn the basics. This is what'll take your dress from looking homemade to store-bought. And thankfully, the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare, can help you with that. I recently took Bernadette Banner's Hand Sewing Basics class to learn how to sew clothing labels onto my crochet designs, and wow, this small skill truly elevated the final look of my garments. This class was super easy to follow and understand. I learned how to anchor on my thread, how to do the running stitch, and how to anchor off my thread. If I'm gonna be spending hours crocheting wearables, they might as well look luxurious and professional. So thank you, Bernadette. From now on, I'm sewing clothing labels onto all of my crochet designs. Skillshare offers hundreds of project-based learning classes from crocheting to embroidery to knitting, literally anything to help you elevate your DIY game. The classes are designed for you to learn at your own pace by real people teaching you real creative skills, and offers you the space to meet peers who share your creative interests. The first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity to have your DIY projects looking luxurious and professional. Start by creating a slip knot. Chain the length of measurement A. To do this, yarn over, hook through, that's 1. Yarn over, hook through, that's 2. Yarn over, hook through, That's 3. Continue making chains until you reach the length of measurement A, and as you're chaining, make sure to count how many chains you're making. When measuring your chain, make sure to lie it down flat, don't stretch it. Write down how many chains you made. Create 2 turning chains. To do this, yarn over, hook through, that's 1, yarn over, hook through, that's 2. When looking at your foundation chain, you'll notice these stitches that look like V's. We're going to flip our chain around so that instead we're looking at these semicircle bumps on the back of our chain. These are called the 3rd loop, and we're going to be crocheting through them for our first row. So skipping the first 2 turning chains we made, so 1, 2, finding the 3rd stitch, flipping it around, and going into the 3rd loop. We are going to be doing half double crochets. To do this, yarn over, hook through that 3rd loop. Now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through that first loop, yarn over, and go through all the loops on your hook. Again, finding the next 3rd loop, yarn over, hook through. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, going through that first loop on your hook, and yarning over again, going through all 3 loops on your hook. Finding that next 3rd loop, yarn over, hook through, yarn over, hook through that first loop, yarn over, and going through all 3 loops on your hook. Continue making half double crochets in each 3rd loop until you reach the end of the row. So once you've completed your row, we're going to make 2 more half double crochets into this last stitch. Yarn over, hook through that same last stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And before we make our second half double crochet, grab a stitch marker. We're going to mark the last stitch we just made. This is going to be the center point of our bra cup. Now again, going into that same stitch, yarn over, hook through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And now we are going to flip our chain around and we're going to start making half double crochets on this other side. So if we flip our chain over to the other side, this first stitch corresponds to this big large gap that we just crocheted through. So we already did our first half double crochet through that stitch. So the next half double crochet we're going to go through is this second one right here. And on this side, we're going to crochet through the regular stitch, not through the 3rd loop. To make things easier for my future self, I'm going to weave in my end as I go. So going through this stitch here, yarn over, hook through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Finding this next stitch, yarn over, hook through, yarn over, pulling through all 3 loops on my hook. So you're going to continue making half double crochets all the way until the end of the row. So now that the row is complete, you can better see the shape of the bra cup. This stitch marker is marking that middle point, and every time we reach this stitch marker, we're going to make our 3 half double crochets into it. So once you complete the row, you're going to make 2 turning chains. So yarn over, hook through, that's 1, yarn over, hook through, that's 2, and we're going to turn our work. Skipping the 2 turning chains, go into this 3rd chain here and make a half double crochet. Finding the next chain, making a half double crochet into it. Finding the next stitch, half double crocheting into it. Continue making half double crochets. I'll meet you once you reach the stitch marker. So once you reach the stitch marker, we're going to make 3 half double crochets into it. So making 1 half double crochet. Remove the stitch marker from the stitch. Make your second half double crochet into the stitch. Grab your stitch marker and mark that second stitch. And make 1 more half double crochet. Now we're going to start working on the other side of our bra cup. So finding that first stitch and making a half double crochet into it, finding the next one. Continue making half double crochets into each stitch until you reach the end of the row. Once you complete your half double crochets to the end of the row, you're going to make 2 turning chains. And turn your work. So you're going to continue repeating row 2 until your bra cup is the length of measurement B. I'll meet you once you finish your bra cup. While measuring your bra cup, lie it down flat, don't stretch it. Before we move on, count how many stitches you have between the end of your row and this stitch marker. We want to make sure that we have an amount of stitches that is divisible by 3. If the number of stitches you have is not divisible by 3, either add a row or remove a row. So once you've made sure your bra cup has an amount of stitches that is divisible by 3, you are going to chain 1 and you're going to cut a tail of yarn and pull your yarn through and pull it to secure your bra cup. You're going to repeat this bra cup process to create your second bra cup, but when you reach the end of the second bra cup, don't cut your yarn. Refer back to the number of chains you wrote down for your foundation chain so your second bra cup is exactly the same size as your first one. Also make sure you're ending on the same amount of stitches. I completed my second bra cup, but with this one, I didn't cut the yarn at the end. So now that we have our 2 bra cups, we're going to start creating the stretchy band for the back of the bust panel. Grab your bra cup that still has the yarn attached. Instead of doing 2 turning chains, we're only going to make 1. Now flip your bra cup so that the flat straight edge is facing up. We are going to create a row of single crochets along this edge. So to do this, we're going to find a gap and we're going to stick our hook through it, yarn over, pull it through the gap, yarn over, and pulling through these 2 loops on your hook. Finding the next big gap, sticking your hook through it, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to continue making single crochets in all of these gaps along the edge until you reach the end of the row. I finished making single crochets along this long edge. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 1 turning chain and turn my work. Skip the turning chain you made, find the second chain. Instead of going through both loops, we're only gonna go through this back one here. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pulling through both loops on your hook. Finding the next stitch, going through the back loop only, yarn over, hook through, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. Finding the next stitch, going through the back loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to continue making single crochets in the back loop only all the way until we reach the end of the row. Once you've made your single crochets in the back loop only all the way until the end of the row, you're going to make 1 turning chain and turn your work. Continue repeating row 2 until your band of single crochets in the back loop only reaches the length of measurement C. When measuring your band of single crochet, make sure to stretch it. Now that you've completed your stretchy band in the back, you're going to grab your other bra cup and you're going to lie it down flat against the edge of your stretchy band. Make sure you ended your last row of single crochet with a chain 1. We're going to find the first large gap we see here in our bra cup. We're going to stick our hook through it. Now we're going to find the first stitch on the back panel and stick our hook through it. And now we're going to yarn over and pull through all of these loops that we have on our hook. Now we're going to find the next large gap in our bra cup, stick our hook through it, find the next stitch on your stretchy back panel, stick your hook through it, yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook. Finding the next large gap, sticking our hook through it, finding the next stitch in our stretchy back panel, yarn over, and pull through all the loops on our hook. So we're going to continue making slip stitches all along the bra cup and the stretchy back panel until we reach the end of the row. Once you finish slip stitching your bra cup to your back stretchy panel, you are going to chain the length of measurement D. Count how many chains make up measurement D and write it down. While measuring your chain, make sure to lie it down flat, don't stretch it. Create 3 turning chains. So yarn over, hook through, that's 1. Yarn over, hook through, that's 2. Yarn over, hook through, that's 3. You're going to skip the first chain you made and stick your hook into this second chain. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Now we're going to yarn over and pull through the first loop on your hook. So again, you should have 2 loops on your hook. Now we're going to skip this next chain and we're going to go into this second chain here. But instead of going through the top, we're going to flip it around and we're going to go through the 3rd loop. So stick your hook through that 3rd loop. Now you should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first loop on your hook. Now you should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through the last 2 loops. So what we did was we took our 3 turning chains and we turned them into our first linked double crochet. Now spread out the first linked double crochet you made a little bit. We're going to take our hook and we're going to go through this horizontal bar. The looser you make your first double crochet, the easier it will be to see this bar. Now again, we're going to yarn over and we're going to only go through that first loop on our hook. Now, finding the next stitch, sticking your hook through that 3rd loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first loop on your hook. Now you should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, and pull through the last 2 loops. You should be able to see a little bit more clearly. This is the first horizontal bar, and now we've created a second horizontal bar. Now we're going to go through this second horizontal bar. So stick your hook through. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first loop. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Now we're going to go into that next stitch, but through the 3rd loop, hook through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first loop on your hook. Now you should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. You should have 2 loops on your hook. And now pulling through those last 2 loops. And if we flip this sideways, here's the first link the second one, and here is the third one. Continue this pattern. I'll meet you at the end of the row. So once you've completed your row of linked double crochets, we're going to start crocheting into our bra cup. So here is our bra cup, and here are the stitches on the perimeter. What we're gonna do is make 3 slip stitches into the round of our bra cup. Find the first stitch of your bra cup, stick your hook in through the stitch, yarn over, and pull your hook through all the loops on your hook. So that's one. Making our second one into the next stitch. So hook through the stitch, yarn over, pull through. That's 2. Finding our third stitch, hook through, yarn over, and pulling through all the loops on your hook. So we've made 1, 2, 3 slip stitches. Now we're going to turn our work. Now for row 2, before we move on, grab a stitch marker and go to the end of your body panel. We're going to mark the 4th stitch from the bottom. So this is 1, 2, 3, and in this 4th stitch, I'm going to mark it with a stitch marker. We're going to do exactly what we did for row 1, except instead of crocheting into that 3rd loop, we're going to crochet into the back loop only. So let's start off our row 2 by going into the 2nd slip stitch. This is the 1st slip stitch. This is the 2nd. So we're going to go into this 2nd slip stitch. I'm going to go into the back loop only, yarn over, pull through. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Now skipping that 3rd chain, we're going to go into this 4th chain, and we're going to go through the back loop only, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Now yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops. Now we're going to find that horizontal bar that we created that's linking our slip stitches to our first double crochet. Stick your hook through it. Yarn over, pull through. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Going into the back loop of the next stitch, hook through, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. If you spread out your double crochets a little bit, you can start to see that horizontal bar forming. So going into that horizontal bar we just created, yarn over, pull through, finding the next stitch, going into the back loop only, hook through, yarn over, pull through. Now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We are going to continue making linked double crochets all the way until we reach this stitch marker. So this stitch is the last stitch we're going to make a linked double crochet into, and we're going to leave these last 3 empty. I've reached the stitch marker, so I'm going to complete my last linked double crochet. Now I'm going to remove this stitch marker and chain 3 turning chains. And turn your work. So as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3 turning chains. We're going to go into our second turning chain. So skipping the first one, hook through the second one, yarn over, and pull through. Now skipping the 3rd turning chain, we're going to go into this 4th stitch, only in the back loop only. So hook through the back loop only of the 4th stitch, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Finding that horizontal bar, sticking our hook through, finding the next stitch into the back loop only, finding that next horizontal bar, hook through, finding the next stitch into the back loop only, continue creating linked double crochets in the back loop only until the end of the row. Once you reach the end of the row, you're going to make 3 slip stitches into the round of the bra cup. Finding that first stitch, stick your hook through it, yarn over, and pull through all the loops on your hook. That's 1. Finding the next stitch, hook through, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook, and going into the 3rd stitch, hook through, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook. Now we can turn over our work. You're going to continue repeating rows 2 and 3 until you complete going through all of the stitches in your bra cup. I'll meet you once you reach the stitch marker at the tip of your bra cup. I've reached the point where I have 3 slip stitches left before I reach the tip of my first bra cup. Create the 3 slip stitches in the round of the first bra cup. Before we turn over our work, we're going to grab the tip of our second bra cup, making sure that the back of the bust panel is not twisted and lying down flat. And we're going to make a 4th slip stitch into the tip of the second bra cup. So sticking our hook through the tip with the stitch marker, yarn over, pulling through all the loops on our hook. Now we're going to turn our work. Now that we have 4 slip stitches, we're going to skip the first one and go into the back loop only of the second one. Yarn over and pull through the first loop on your hook. Now you're going to skip the 3rd slip stitch, the 4th slip stitch, and we're going to go into the back loop only of the 5th chain and finish our linked double crochet. So yarn over, going through the first loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to continue finishing our row of linked double crochet, decreasing by 3 at the bottom, and then working our way back up. I'll meet you when it's time to crochet into the round of the second bra cup. I finished my row going down and working my way up. So now it's time to slip stitch into the round of the second bra cup. The first slip stitch you're going to make is going to be in the tip of the second bra cup, the one that you already made your 4th slip stitch into. So we're going to slip stitch into the tip of the second bra cup. Then we're going to find the next stitch in our bra cup, slip stitch into it, and make 1 more slip stitch into the next stitch. Now we're going to turn our work. So now you're going to continue making your rows of linked double crochet in the back loop only. Continue decreasing when you reach the bottom of your dress. And you're going to continue doing this until you reach the end of the round. I'll meet you once you complete the round of your second bra cup. I've reached my last step of 3 slip stitches in the round of the second bra cup, so I wanted to do this with you guys. So now I've officially gone through every stitch in the round of the second bra cup, and I'm going to turn over my work. And I'm going to complete this last row of the front body panel as I usually would. So creating linked double crochets in the back loop only until I reach the 4th last stitch. I have 1 more linked double crochet to do before I reach the end of the row. And once I complete this linked double crochet, I'm going to place a stitch marker just to hold the stitch in place, and I'm going to lie my project down flat. Before we start crocheting the back of the dress, we need to take some measurements. We're going to use the front of our dress as a reference. Grab your measuring tape and lie it down flat on your dress. You're going to stretch your dress all the way until you reach your measurement E. For example, my measurement E is 8.25 inches. You're going to grab a stitch marker and mark the row that is lying beneath your measurement E. For me, that is going to be this row here at the 8.25 inches mark. Now you can remove your measuring tape and count how many rows lie between the edge of your dress and your stitch marker. Grab a pen and paper and write that down. For me, it's 15 rows, but for you, it will probably be different. Now you're going to take the short end of your dress and you're going to count how many stitches are in this last row. Each of these V's are an individual stitch. Write down how many stitches you counted for the short side. I counted 57 stitches for my dress. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for the long edge. So again, counting each individual stitch on this long side and write down how many stitches you counted. I counted 123 stitches on the long side of my dress. I'm going to explain the plan for the back side of the dress just so you can have a better understanding of what we're going to be doing. If you feel confident just starting the back of the dress and following the written pattern, please feel free to skip this part. So we're going to mirror this asymmetric hem onto the back of the dress, which means that instead of decreasing at the end of each second row, we're going to be increasing instead. Since the back of the dress is going to have a backless V moment, we're not going to create the same number of rows we did for the front of the dress as we are going to make for the back of the dress, which means we're going to be increasing by a different number instead of 3 at the end of each second row. I created a super easy to follow ChatGPT prompt that you can drop your numbers into, and the prompt is going to tell you how many linked double crochets you're going to need to increase by to ensure that the asymmetric hem of your dress meets the same number of stitches you have for the longest point of your dress. All you need to do is copy the prompt in the written pattern, place it into ChatGPT, and simply enter your number of rows for the back panel, your number of stitches for the short end of the dress, and the number of stitches for the long end of your dress into the prompt. The written pattern is very clear where you need to enter these numbers into, and ChatGPT is going to give you a super simple, easy to follow, row by row plan on how much you need to increase by for the back of your dress. If you haven't yet downloaded the written pattern, this is the time to do it. This sounds complicated, but it's actually super duper easy. Let's continue and start crocheting the back of the dress. So coming back to the last stitch of our last row, we're going to start off row 1 of the back panel by increasing. So we're going to refer to the response ChatGPT gave to us. So as an example, ChatGPT told me to increase by 4 stitches for row 1. Because it told me to increase by 4, I'm going to chain 4. And I'm also going to now create 3 turning chains. And I'm going to turn my work. Just to clarify, if ChatGPT told you to increase by 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever number it gave you for row 1, you're going to chain the number it told you to increase by, and then you're going to create 3 turning chains. Before we continue, grab a stitch marker and go to the end of your row. Count 3 stitches from the top. 1, 2, 3. And place your stitch marker into the 3rd stitch. So we're going to start off row 1 as we've been doing. We're going to skip the first turning chain and go into the back loop of the 2nd turning chain, yarn over, pull through. We're going to skip the 3rd turning chain and go into the back loop of the 4th chain, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Now you're going to yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the last 2. Finding the horizontal bar, sticking your hook through it, yarn over, pull through, and finding the next stitch going into the back loop only, yarn over, pull through, and just completing the link double crochet as we've been doing. Again, finding that horizontal bar, going in, yarn over, pull through, finding the next stitch, going into the back loop only, yarn over, pull through, and completing the link double crochet as per usual. And we have one more increase left to do. So finding that horizontal bar again, yarn over, pull through, going into the back loop only of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and finishing the link double crochet. So this is what the increase looks like all completed. If you count the horizontal bars, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So ChatGPT told me to increase by 4 stitches. So here are the 4 stitches. If you got another number like 5 or 6 or 7, maybe 3, then you should be able to count that number of stitches in your increase. So now you're just going to continue creating your link double crochets in the back loop only all the way until you reach the stitch marker. So your last link double crochet is going to go in this stitch with the stitch marker. I've reached the stitch with the stitch marker, so I'm going to create my last link double crochet into it. Once you've completed your link double crochet, you can remove the stitch marker. To create the backless V moment of our dress, we're going to use the last 2 stitches at the end of our row to decrease. We're going to start off by finding the last horizontal bar and putting our hook through it. So all of this is the same, yarn over, pull through, finding the next stitch, going into the back loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now this is where things change a little bit. Instead of yarning over and pulling through the last 2 loops, you're going to yarn over and only pull through the first one. From here, you're going to find that horizontal bar we crocheted into, and you're going to go into it again, yarn over, pull through. So now you should have 3 loops on your hook. Now we're going to find the next stitch and put our hook through it in the back loop only. We're going to yarn over and pull through. So now we have 4 loops on our hook. Now we're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. So now you should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And this here is our decrease. So we have our 2 link double crochets, but it only shows up as 1 stitch. So once you've completed the decrease, you're going to create 3 turning chains and turn your work. We're going to start off row 2 by decreasing. So we're going to do the exact same step we did at the end of row 1 at the beginning of row 2. You're going to skip the first turning chain, go into the back loop of the second turning chain, yarn over, pull through, skipping the third turning chain, going into the back loop of the 4th stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So this is all the same. Now this is where things get a little bit different. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first loop only. Now finding the horizontal bar that we just created, we're going to go into it. We're going to yarn over and pull through the horizontal bar. Now we should have 3 loops on our hook. Now we're going to find the back loop only of the next stitch, sticking our hook through it, yarn over and pull through. So now we should have 4 loops on our hook. Now you're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. Now you should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pulling through the rest of the loops on your hook. Now that we've done our decrease, we're going to create our link double crochets as we normally would in the back loop only, all the way until the end of the row. I have 1 more stitch left before I complete row 2. Now I'm going to use row 2 to prep me for row 3. So at row 3, ChatGPT told me to increase by 4 stitches. So I'm going to chain 4. Again, your number might be different than mine depending on the output ChatGPT gave you. Now I'm going to chain 3. These are my turning chains. And I'm going to turn my work. You're going to continue repeating rows 1 and 2 all the way until you reach the number of rows that made up your measurement E. Since my rows 1 and 2 are completed, I'm going to crochet 13 more rows. Again, your number of rows will be different from mine. I just completed my 15 rows, which is the halfway point of my dress. My last row ended at the top where the backless V is. If you ended here at the asymmetric hem, that's totally okay. For the second half of the back panel, nothing is really going to change. You're going to continue working your rows down towards the hem and increasing with the number of stitches ChatGPT told you to. And when you get to the top, you're just going to increase by 1 extra stitch. I'm going to demonstrate what rows 1 and 2 will look like starting from here. But if you ended at the asymmetric hem, you're just going to flip rows 1 and 2 around. So instead, you're going to do rows 2 and 1. If you still feel a little bit confused, the written pattern has all of the information and will walk you through these steps. Now, instead of decreasing at these first 2 stitches, I'm going to increase at this first stitch here. So to do that, I'm going to create a normal link double crochet. So skipping the first chain, going into the second one, yarn over, pull through, going through that 4th chain, so skipping the 3rd turning chain, yarn over, pull through, and completing the link double crochet as per usual. Now here, we're going to go through the horizontal bar, start creating your link double crochet, but instead of going into the back loop only of this next stitch, we're going to go into the stitch we just crocheted into and finish creating our link double crochet into it. So as you can see, we have 2 horizontal bars. We have 2 V's here at the top, which means we've created 2 link double crochets, but we've only worked into this first chain here. From here, we're going to continue making our link double crochets in the back loop only as per usual until we reach the end of the row. Just like we've been doing, when you reach the end of the row where your asymmetric hem is, you're going to increase by the number of stitches ChatGPT told you to. So in my case, I have to increase by 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then create 3 turning chains. 1, 2, 3, and turn over your work. So if your halfway point ended on the asymmetric hem side, this would be the first step for you. So skipping my first chain and going into the second chain in the back loop only, skipping the 3rd chain and going into the 4th chain in the back loop only, and finishing the link double crochet as per usual. So you're going to continue making your link double crochets all the way until the end of the row. We don't need a stitch marker at this backless V part anymore because we're just going to make 2 link double crochets into the last stitch. What I have been doing though to help me on the asymmetric side is I've been putting a stitch marker at the first link double crochet. I think at the bottom it can be a little tricky to differentiate between your first stitch and your turning chains here. So having the stitch marker lets me know which stitch I need to make my last link double crochet into when I'm working my way back. I have one more stitch left before I complete my row 2, but this last stitch is where we're going to make our increase into. So you're going to make a regular link double crochet into this last stitch. And now we're going to make a second link double crochet into the same stitch. So we're going to go into the new horizontal bar we just made. So sticking our hook through it, yarn over, pull through. And now we're going to go into the exact same stitch we just made our last link double crochet into. So we're going to stick our hook in through the back loop only of that stitch, yarn over, pull through. And now we're just going to finish our link double crochet as we usually would. So now we are going to chain 3 and turn our work. You're going to continue repeating rows 1 and 2 or rows 2 and 1 depending on which side you ended off on until you have a total of double the amount of rows that made up your measurement E. For example, my first half had 15 rows, so I'm going to make 15 more rows with these increases until I have a total of 30 rows in the back. I'll see you again once you've completed all the rows for the back of your dress. I finished crocheting all the rows for the back panel of my dress. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our yarn and we're going to pull a very long strand of it. You want it to reach the end of your back panel, and then you want to pull it back so that it meets the end of your dress. Then we're going to pull a little bit extra because it's better to have more than not enough. And we're going to cut our yarn. We're going to secure our back panel by chaining 1 and pulling our yarn through the loop. And once you pull your yarn through, you can give it a tug, thread the yarn through the tapestry needle. Now we're going to sew the edge of our project together by simply sewing back and forth. So we're going to start off with the left side and we're going to stick our tapestry needle through the full stitch and pull our yarn through. Now we're going to find the first stitch on the right side, stick our tapestry needle through the full stitch, and we're going to pull our yarn through. Now we're going to find the next stitch on the left side, going through that full stitch and pulling our yarn through. Now going back to our right side, sticking our tapestry needle through the full stitch and pulling through. So we're just going to continue this back and forth sewing pattern all the way until the top of our dress. So this stitch at the top of our back panel should line up with the first stitch that is below the bust panel. I've made it to the end of my row, so it's time to secure the yarn. I'm going to go back through the last stitch I made on the left side, but instead of pulling my yarn all the way through, I'm going to leave a loop and I'm going to put my tapestry needle through the loop and pull my yarn through to secure the knot. I'm going to go back through that same stitch and I'm going to make a second knot. You're going to try on your dress and mark where you want your sleeves to start in the front and the back. When we're working our sleeves, we're going to be working them towards the armpit area, so keep that in mind. To make sure my sleeves are symmetrical, I'm going to write down the number of the stitch I marked on both the front and the back. For the back, I'm going to count the row number. So now I'm going to take my stitch markers and I'm going to mark the same stitches on the other side. Now that my sleeves are symmetrically marked, I can start crocheting the sleeves. Grab your yarn and make a slip knot. Put your slip knot to the side. Find the stitch marker that is marking the beginning of your sleeve. We do want to start at the bust cup, not the back. So if you need to, just flip your project inside out and then you'll end up with your stitch marker on the right side and the progression of your rows to the left side. Stick your hook through the stitch with the stitch marker. Grab your slip knot and place it through your hook. Now use your hook to pull your slip knot through the marked stitch. Now we're going to chain the length of measurement F. While measuring your chain, lie it down flat, don't stretch it. Write down how many chains you made so you can make the same number of chains for your second sleeve. You also want to make sure the number of chains you made is a multiple of 5. Now going to the back of our bust panel, we're going to find the marked row, stick our hook through that marked row, yarn over, and pull your hook through all the loops on your hook. This is going to be our first slip stitch in the round, so we're going to make 2 more. So you want to find a large gap, but make sure when you go through it, you have 2 or more strands of yarn on your hook. So yarn over and pulling through. This is our second slip stitch. And now finding the next big gap we see, going through it, making sure we have at least 2 strands of yarn on our hook, yarn over and pulling through all the loops on our hook. Now we're going to turn over our work. So now we're going to create linked double crochets. So skipping the first slip stitch, going into the second one, yarn over, pull through, skipping the third slip stitch, going into the 4th chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have our horizontal bar, so we're going to go through the horizontal bar and completing the linked double crochet as we've been doing. Again, going into the next horizontal bar and completing the linked double crochet as per usual. So we're going to continue creating our linked double crochets all the way until we reach the other side. Once you reach the end of the row, you're going to make 3 slip stitches into the round. We're going to make our first slip stitch into the stitch that has the stitch marker. So sticking our hook through that stitch with the stitch marker, yarn over, pulling through all the loops on our hook, finding the next stitch, and doing our third slip stitch into the next one. Now turn your work. So we're going to continue making our linked double crochets until the end of the row, but now instead of going in the back loop only, we're going to go through the full stitch. So skipping the first slip stitch, going into the second one. Because the slip stitches can be pretty tight, I'm just going to go through the back loop only. Skipping the third slip stitch, going into the full stitch of this 4th chain. So hook through the full stitch, yarn over, pull through, and now finishing the linked double crochet as per usual. Finding the horizontal bar and going into the next full stitch and finishing the linked double crochet. So you're going to continue making these linked double crochets all the way until the end of the row. Once you get to the end of the row, you're going to make 3 slip stitches into the round. So finding a big gap that has more than 1 strand of yarn, making your second slip stitch, and the third. Once you've completed your 3 slip stitches, you're going to turn your work. So you're going to continue repeating row 2 until you have a total of 6 rows. At the end of row 6, you're only going to make 1 slip stitch. So I'll meet you there. I'm at the end of row 6, so now I'm going to create my 1 slip stitch into the round. And once I complete my 1 slip stitch, I'm going to turn over my work. Before we continue, grab a stitch marker and go to the end of your 6th row, count 5 stitches, and mark the 5th stitch with a stitch marker. Once you've marked your 5th stitch from the end, we're going to start our decrease. To do this, we're going to slip stitch into the first 5 stitches of our row. So this stitch here is the slip stitch we made in the round. We're going to use it as our turning chain. So the first stitch we're going to crochet into is this second one here. So going in, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook. That's our first slip stitch. Finding the next stitch, yarn over, pulling through all the loops on our hook, finding the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. Once you finish slip stitching through the first 5 stitches, you're going to chain 3. And we're going to start our linked double crochets. So skipping the first chain, going into the second one, finding that next stitch, and completing our linked double crochet. Now we have the horizontal bar, so we're going to go into it, go into the next stitch, and complete our linked double crochet. So we're going to continue making our linked double crochets all the way until we reach the stitch marker. We're not going to create a linked double crochet into this 5th stitch. Our last one is going to be at the stitch before. So I've reached the stitch that's before the stitch marker. So this is going to be my last linked double crochet. Now that I've completed the row, I'm going to chain 1. And I'm going to turn my work. Repeat row 7 until you have a row that's too short to make any more linked double crochets into. I've made it to my final row. As you can see, if I count 5 decreases from the start of my row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I count 5 decreases at the other end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I end up with no space to crochet. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the middle stitch, grab your stitch marker, and mark 2 stitches from the middle stitch. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So in between our 2 stitch markers, we should have 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch all the way until we reach this stitch marker. So skipping the chain 1, slip stitching into the first stitch, continue slip stitching all the way until the stitch before the stitch marker. So now that I've reached my stitch marker, I'm going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to make my first linked double crochet into this stitch. And I'm going to continue making my linked double crochets all the way until I reach the other stitch marker. So my last linked double crochet is going to go into this marked stitch. So as you can see, I have 5 linked double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, in order to make the point of my sleeve look very nice and clean, I am going to chain 1. And I'm going to make 2 slip stitches into the side of this last linked double crochet. So finding a gap yarn over, pulling through all the loops on my hook. That is my first slip stitch, going into the bottom half of my linked double crochet and making a slip stitch. And I'm going to finish off the sleeve by slip stitching into the leftover stitches in my row. So this is what my final row looks like. I am going to chain 1, and I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to cut my yarn. Pull your yarn through and tug to secure. Repeat the entire sleeve process to create your second sleeve. Refer back to the number of chains you wrote down for the foundation chain of sleeve 1 so that sleeve 2 is exactly the same size. Grab your measuring tape and lay your dress down flat. You're going to measure 1 inch from the top of your folded sleeve. Grab your stitch marker and mark the 1 inch mark. Just so everything is super symmetrical, I'm going to count how many stitches there are from the bottom of my sleeve to where the stitch marker is. I have 26 stitches, so I'm going to mark the 26th stitch from the bottom on the other side. And I'm going to mark that stitch with a stitch marker. Now it's time to crochet the tie straps. Grab your yarn and create a slip knot. Put your slip knot to the side, find the marked stitch and stick your hook through it. Put your slip knot through the hook and pull your slip knot through the marked stitch. Now you're going to chain 100. So yarn over, pull through, that's 1, yarn over, pull through, that's 2, yarn over, pull through, that's 3, and continue on until you have 100 chains. Once you've completed your 100 chains, you're going to make 1 turning chain. So yarn over, pull through, that's the 1 turning chain. Now we're going to flip over our foundation chain so that these third loops are sticking up. So this first loop here is from our turning chain, so we're not going to go into it. We're going to go into this one instead. We're going to be creating slip stitches through the third loop all the way until the end of the row. So sticking our hook through that third loop, yarn over, and pulling through all the loops on our hook. Finding the next third loop, sticking our hook through it, yarn over, and pulling through all the loops on our hook. Finding the next third loop, yarn over, and pulling through all the loops on our hook. So continue making slip stitches through every third loop until you reach the end of the row. Once you reach the end of your row, you're going to make 1 more slip stitch into the same stitch you started your tie strap in. So sticking the hook through, yarn over, pulling through all the loops on your hook. Now we're simply going to chain 1, cut our yarn, and pull the yarn through and giving it a tug to secure it. Repeat this process on the other sleeve. Now we're going to create the little bridge between our 2 bust cups. Try on your dress and mark where you want the bridge between your bust cups to go. Count the amount of stitches between the bottom of your bust cup and where your stitch marker is, and mark the same number of stitches on the other bust cup. Grab your yarn and create a slip knot. Place your slip knot to the side. Place your hook through the stitch with the stitch marker. Grab your slip knot and stick your slip knot through the hook. Pull the slip knot through the marked stitch. Now chain 7. So once you've completed your chain of 7, grab your second bust cup and stick your hook through the marked stitch on the other side. Then yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. To finish it off, I'm going to chain 1, cut my yarn, and pull it through. Now all that's left to do is weave in your ends. Congratulations! Your Silver Savior dress is officially complete. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please make sure to give it a like and leave a comment. It is the best way to support the work I do for free. Speaking of which, if you downloaded the written pattern, I would love it if you left a review on my website. It would make my day to see how your Silver Savior dress turned out, so please tag me on Instagram or TikTok at CassandraXPaz. My socials are linked in the description. If you don't want to miss out on any of my future tutorials, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I have so many designs I'm excited to share with you guys for this upcoming year. I had so much fun creating this design and sharing it with you guys, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye!